Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Grantar Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Kalachandji Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You can read these together. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyutama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtriki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. All right, Hare Krishna. Today we are going to be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 2, starting a new chapter. And we're going to do the entire chapter today. Wow. So it's entitled The Activities of Maharaj Agnidra. So who remembers what happened in the last class? Where was the story going? We were talking about Maharaj Priyavrata. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so he's kind of at the end of his Grahastha life. And so he's kind of doing his last activities as a Grahastha, and he's kind of lamenting like, wow, I like so much time has passed. And so then he returns back to his position of a renunciate. And he gives his kingdom to his sons. Or I'm not sure if it's all his sons, but Maharaj Agnidra is the son of Maharaj Priyavrata. And so you might wonder, why are we talking about Maharaj Agnidra? You know, this is the Bhagavatam, this is supposed to be stories of Krishna, this is supposed to be stories of Krishna's devotees. And actually, we're going to see in this chapter that Maharaj Agnidra, he's not exactly what you'd consider a pure devotee, as we'll read on. But this is actually leading up to one of the incarnations of Krishna named Rishabhadev. So Agnidra is the grandfather of Rishabhadev. So we're kind of getting into the lineage a little bit. So we can, the chapter summary is a little bit of a spoiler, so we can just start with text 1. And we're going to focus on text 5.
Sri Sukadev Goswami continued. After his father, Maharaj Priyavrata, departed to follow the path of spiritual life by undergoing austerities, King Agnidra completely obeyed his order. Strictly observing the principles of religion, he gave full protection to the inhabitants of Jambudvip as if they were his own begotten sons. Desiring to get a perfect son and become an inhabitant of Pitraloka, Maharaj Agnidra once worshipped Lord Brahma, the master of those in charge of material creation. He went to the valley of Mandara hill, where the damsels of the heavenly planets came down to stroll. There he collected garden flowers and other necessary paraphernalia, and then engaged in severe austerities and worship.
Okay, so we're seeing here that Maharaj Agnidra, he has a specific desire. What is he, who can see what he wants? He's doing austerities for what purpose? So he wants to become inhabitant of Pitraloka. I'm going to be quizzing you guys as we go, okay? So be on your guard. So he wants to become an inhabitant of Pitraloka. So to become an inhabitant of Pitraloka, you need a perfect son. And the son has to offer oblations, has to offer to Vishnu in order for you to get there. All right, next.
But what is Pitraloka?
Huh?
What is Pitraloka?
It's like a heavenly planet. It's where the forefathers reside. Yeah, it's like Dad Loka. Like Pita. Like I used to call my dad Pita. And basically it's the planet of the forefathers. Of the ancestors. All right. Text 3.
Lots of dad jokes going on there. Okay, understanding King Agnidra's desire, the first and most powerful created being of this universe, Lord Brahma, selected the best of the dancing girls in his assembly, whose name was Parvachiti, and sent her to the king.
Okay, so we're about to enter into a section here. The Bhagavatam has everything that we could want in the material world, but even better and even spiritual. So we're going to get into kind of a interesting section. But Lord Brahma has sent Purvachiti to this meditating yogi in Mandara Hill. Next text.
The Apsara sent by Lord Brahma began strolling in a beautiful park near the place where the king was meditating and worshipping. The park was beautiful because of its dense green foliage and golden creepers. There were pairs of varied birds such as peacocks, and in a lake there were ducks and swans, all vibrating very sweet sounds. Thus the park was magnificently beautiful because of the foliage, the clear water, the lotus flowers, and the sweet singing of various kinds of birds.
As Parvachiti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her, here. As Parvachiti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her own, the pleasing ornaments on her ankles tinkled with her every stop. Although Prince Ajinra was controlling his senses, practicing yoga with half-open eyes, he could see her with his lotus-like eyes, and when he heard the sweet tinkling of her bangles, he opened his eyes slightly more and could see that she was just nearby.
Okay, we have a little picture here, the BBT picture. Let's see if I can make it bigger. So Agnidra is meditating. Huh? She has a ball. Yeah, we'll get to that soon. But Agnidra is meditating, and he hears these tinkling of ankle bells, and he's like slightly opening his eyes more and more to see who's there. Just a small anecdote on this. I remember one time I was really sleepy during japa period at a temple, and this brahmachari told me, if a beautiful girl walked in holding a big box of pizza, how tired would you be? So kind of making the point that I should be more awake. But we're seeing here kind of a similar situation, that he's meditating, and this, we're going to get into a description of what she looks like, but we're seeing that this heavenly maiden is from, the heavenly planets, and so he basically doesn't stand a chance. She's like, anyways, if humans were to see these residents of the heavenly planets, they'd practically pass out from what the heck? Anyways, so this is the section we're entering now.
Like a honeybee, the Apsara smelled the beautiful and attractive flowers. She could attract the minds of vision of both humans and demigods by her playful movements, her shyness and humility, her glances, the very pleasing sounds that poured from her mouth as she spoke, and the motions of her limbs. By all these qualities she opened for Cupid, who bears an arrow of flowers, a path of oral reception into the minds of men. When she spoke, nectar seemed to flow from her mouth. As she breathed, the bees, mad for the taste of her breath, tried to hover about her beautiful lotus-like eyes. Disturbed by the bees, she tried to move hastily. But as she raised her feet to walk quickly, her hair, the belt on her hips, and her breasts, which were like water jugs, also moved in a way that made her extremely beautiful and attractive. Indeed, she seemed to be making a path for the entrance of Cupid, who is the most powerful. Therefore, the prince, completely subdued by seeing her, spoke to her as follows.
Okay, so, we're hearing that kind of predictable, but she totally bewildered Maharaj Agnidra, and she opened for Cupid. I was thinking, in my head, he's open, take the shot, So Cupid, he's ready, he's aiming, and then, Purvachiti walks in, and she's like, okay, get him, you're open. And so Cupid, that's his purpose in the material world, is that he shoots everyone with this, with lust, basically. And his main utility, his main weapon, is the attractive feminine movements of women. So we read it, or also I guess vice versa, but specifically in the purport here, Srila Prabhupada, he talks about how this is the design of women. It is part of it is to be able to bewilder the minds of men, and it also speaks on Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya would be very careful. Lord Chaitanya would be very careful to, not be attracted by the feminine gestures and the feminine movements of women. So we see that, obviously Maharaj Agnidra, he doesn't really stand a chance. He's already been captivated. Next text, please.
The prince mistakenly addressed the Apsara. O best of saintly persons, who are you? Why are you on this hill? And what do you want to do? Are you the one of illusory potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? You seem to be carrying two bows without strings. What is the reason you carry these bows? It is for some purpose of your own or for the sake of a friend. Perhaps you carry them to kill the mad animals in this forest.
So, Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he talks about why the Prince Agnidra refers to her as the best of saintly persons. Basically, Maharaj Agnidra, Prabhupada describes it in two different ways. Later on, he also talks about it. But in this purport, he talks about how Maharaj Agnidra is so bewildered, he's so mind blown that he can't even tell if she's a boy or a girl. Like he can't tell if she's a man or a woman. And he actually thinks that she's a brahmana or a saintly person who lives in the forest. He's so disoriented. And so while these are like flattery and these are words of flattery and metaphors and stuff, he also is bewildered. He also doesn't know what's happening. And Srila Prabhupada also in the purport, he talks about how these two bows, they're meant, that bows are the eyebrows of her. See, anyways, not my eyebrows, but her eyebrows are like bows with no strings. And so they're meant to kill the people in the forest. Those people in the forest are materialistic men. The eyebrows are, anyways, we'll read a little bit more about this analogy, but he's saying, are you gonna kill me in this last sentence? Are you gonna kill me with these? I'm the mad animal. These materialistic men are the mad animals who get shot by the eyebrows. Next text.
Then Agnidra observed the glancing eyes of Purcha and said, "My dear friend, you have two very powerful arrows, namely your glancing eyes. Those arrows have feathers like the petals of a lotus flower. Although they have no shafts, they are very beautiful, and they have very sharp, piercing points. They appear very peaceful, and thus it seems that they will not be shot at anyone. You must be loitering in this forest to shoot arrows at someone, but I cannot understand who. My intelligence is dull, and I cannot combat you. Indeed, no one can equal you in prowess, and therefore I pray that for your prowess will be for my good fortune."
Okay, yeah. So we're hearing more into this analogy that the eyes are like the arrows. So the sidelong glance, pew, and you're done for. And yeah, he's basically stating his condition that he is, he's totally powerless against her. Next text, please.
Seeing the bumblebees following Purvachiti, Maharaj Agnidra said, "My dear Lord, the bumblebees surrounding your body are like disciples surrounding your worshipable self. They are incessantly chanting the mantras of the Samaveda and the Upanishads, thus offering prayers to you. Just as great sages resort to the branches of Vedic literatures, the bumblebees are enjoying the showers of flowers falling from your hair."
Wow. I mean, this is what he's saying to her. Like, it's kind of crazy, right? He's so infatuated with her that he's saying that these bumblebees are her disciples and that they're offering these Vedic hymns to her. It's just showing how he's praying to her as if she's the Lord. That's how much his mind has been captivated. Text 10.
"O Brahman, I can simply hear the tinkling of your ankle bells. Within those bells, three birds seem to be chirping among them. Although I do not see their forms, I can hear how they're chirping. When I look at your beautiful circular hips, I see they are lovely color of kadamba flowers. Your waist is circled by a belt of burning cinders. Indeed, you seem to have forgotten to dress yourself.
So, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that Purvachiti, she's actually dressed, but Maharaj Agnindra, he's so lusty that he perceives her as not being dressed at all. And he's still referring to her as the Brahmana. So yeah, it's kind of a bewildering situation right now. Next text, please.
Agnidra then praised Parvati's raised breasts. He said, "My dear Brahmana, your waist is very thin, yet with great difficulty you are carefully carrying 2 horns, to which my eyes have become attracted. What is filling those 2 beautiful horns? You seem to have spread fragrant red powder upon them, powder that is like the rising morning sun. O most fortunate one, I beg to inquire where you have gotten this fragrant powder that is perfuming my ashrama, my place of residence."
Next text, please.
Oh, best friend, kindly show me the place you reside. I cannot imagine how the residents of that place have gotten so wonderful bodily features as raised breasts and aggregate in the mind of a person like me who sees them and judging sweet peach and kind smiles and those residents. I think their mouth must contain nectar.
Yeah, so Maharaj Agnindra, he's asking the Brahmana boy, okay, so you're a man, you're in a male body, yet you have breasts. Like, what planet are you from? He's very bewildered. He's saying, what place have you come from in which, men are like this? Or, yeah, they have such sweet speech that their mouths must contain nectar. Again, same theme is he's quite bewildered. Next text.
My dear friend, what do you eat to maintain your body? Because you are chewing betel, a pleasing scent is emanating from your mouth. This proves that you always eat the remnant of the food offered to Vishnu. Indeed, you must also be an expansion of Lord Vishnu's body. Your face is as beautiful as a pleasing lake. Your jeweled earrings resemble 2 brilliant sharks with unblinking eyes like those of Vishnu, and your own eyes resemble 2 restless fish. Simultaneously, therefore, 2 sharks and 2 restless fish are swimming in the lake of your face. Besides them, the white rows of your teeth seem like rows of very beautiful swans in the water, and you scattered hair resemble swans of humbleness following the beauty of your face.
Okay, yeah, very poetic. And then, now we're gonna hear about the ball. This is quite common that heavenly damsels carry a ball, and that's like, it just destroys the yogis. I can't understand it.
My mind is already restless, and by playing with a ball, moving it all about with your lotus-like palm, you are also agitating my eyes. Your curling black hair is now scattered, but you are not attentive to arranging it. Are you not going to arrange it? Like a man attached to women, the most cunning wind is trying to take off your lower garment. Are you not mindful of it?
All right, same theme as the past few texts. Next text.
O best among those performing austerities, where did you get this wonderful beauty that dismantles the austerities performed by others? Where have you learned this art? What austerities have you undergone to achieve this beauty, my dear friend? I desire that you join me to perform austerity and penance, for it may be that the creator of the universe, Lord Brahma, being pleased with me, has sent you to become my wife.
Okay, so he's kind of coming to consciousness a little more now, and he's seeing the situation, and he's understanding that Lord Brahma has sent this heavenly Apsara to become his wife. Jai Shri Radha Kalachandji. And so Maharaj Agnidra, we refer to him as Maharaj. He's actually a saintly person, even though he has been overwhelmed. But he wants to do penances and austerities in his Grahastha life. Next text, please.
Lord Brahma, who is worshipped by the Brahmanas, has very mercifully given you to me, and that is why I have met you. I do not want to give up your company, for my mind and eyes are fixed upon you and cannot be drawn away. A woman with beautiful raised breasts, I am your follower. O woman with beautiful raised breasts, I am your follower. You may take me wherever you like, and your friends may also follow me.
So basically he's declaring, Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he talks about how Rajagnidra, he's completely surrendering to her. And he's saying, heaven or hell, wherever you want to take me, I'm going. And we can see, obviously, this is not good for spiritual life. None of this was. But we have to surrender to Krishna. And if we're surrendering to someone else, we're not going to go back home. So it's a little foreshadowing. Next text.
Shukadev Goswami continued. Maharaj Agnidra, whose intelligence was like that of a demigod, knew the art of flattering women to win them to his side. He therefore pleased that celestial girl with his lusty words and gained her favor. Text 18. Attracted by the intelligence, learning, youth, beauty, behavior, opulence, and magnanimity of Agnira, the king of Jambudvip and master of all heroes, Purvachiti lived with him for many thousands of years and luxuriously enjoyed both worldly and heavenly happiness.
In the womb of Purvachiti, Maharaj Ajindra, the best of kings, begot 9 sons named Nabi, Kampursa, Harvarsa, bear with me, sorry, Lavarta, Ramyaka, Hiramanya, Kuru, Bhadresva, and Ketumala. Apologies, sorry.
All good. You're good.
Text 20. Purvachiti gave birth to these 9 sons, one each year, but after they grew up, she left them at home and again approached Lord Brahma to worship him.
Okay, so she very easily renounced her husband. We see this often in the material world. This whole situation, we see it often, that the man gets very infatuated and he surrenders, and he loses his sense of control and his austerities and things like that. And then after she's done, she says, okay, bye. I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing now. Huh? And the other way around, of course. Yeah. I said, and Brahmarita made the point that it's also the other way around. So, yeah, it goes both ways for sure.
Because of drinking the breast milk of their mother, the 9 sons of Agnitra naturally had strong, well-built bodies. Their father gave them each a kingdom in a different part of Jambudvipa. The kingdoms were named according to the names of sons. Thus the sons of Agnitra ruled the kingdoms they received from their father. After Purvachiti's departure, King Agnitra, his lusty desires not all satisfied, always sought of her. Therefore, in accordance with the Vedic injunctions, the king, after his death, was promoted to the same planet as his celestial wife. That planet, which is called Pitruloka, is where Pitas, the forefathers, live in great delight.
So we get kind of a conclusion on Maharaj Agnidra's story here, is that he still was not satisfied. That's how lust is that it said they enjoyed for thousands of years. And he couldn't stop thinking of her. He was, he wasn't God conscious. He was only conscious of Purvachiti. So after his death, Prabhupada talks about in this purport, it says that whatever state of being Krishna says, Prabhupada says that Krishna says that whatever state of being your consciousness is in when you leave your body, that state you will attain. So he went to the heavenly planets to enjoy with his celestial wife, but we understand that this is definitely not our goal, and eventually we will have to come back down when the results of our pious activities are finished. Next text.
After the departure of their father, the 9 brothers married the 9 daughters of Meru named Meru Devi, Pratirupa, Ugradamstri, Lata, Ramya, Shama, Naribhadra, and Devavati.
All right, that's the end of the chapter. We're going to go to text 5 now. Wi-Fi is a little strange right now, but let's see. Oh, we can read the translation again. The Sanskrit is in prose. There's no meter to it, and it's quite long, so I think we can skip that. Hopefully the purport will load. Oh, it's here too. If you guys, oh, here it is. Yeah, Hare Krishna. All right. Should we do the synonyms still? Okay, I mean, we can just get to the purport. As Purvachiti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her own, the pleasing ornaments on her ankles tinkled with every step. Although Prince Agnidra was controlling his senses, practicing yoga with half-open eyes, he could see her with his lotus-like eyes. And when he heard the sweet tinkling of her bangles, he opened his eyes slightly more and could see that she was just nearby. Could someone read the first paragraph of the purport?
It is said that yogis always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within their hearts. Dhyana vastita tad katena manasa pashanti mam yoginaha. Bhagavatam 12:13-1. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always observed by yogis who practice controlling the venomous senses. As recommended in Bhagavad Gita, yogis should practice samprekshya nasikagam, keeping their eyes half open. If the eyes are closed completely, there will be a tendency to sleep. So-called yogis sometimes practice a fashionable form of yoga by closing their eyes and meditating, but we have actually seen such so-called yogis sleeping and snoring while meditating. This is not the practice of yoga. To actually practice yoga, one should keep his eyes half open and gaze at the tip of his nose. Although Agnidra, the son of Parivrata, was practicing mystic yoga and trying to control his senses, the tinkling sound of Purvachiti's ankle bells disturbed his practice. Yoga Indriya Samyamaha. Actual yoga practice means controlling the senses. One must practice mystic yoga to control the senses, but the sense control of a devotee who fully engages in the service of the Lord with his purified senses, Rishikena Sevanam, can never be disturbed. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati therefore stated, Durda Tendriya Kala Sarpa Patari Protkata Samdrishtya Yate. Chaitanya Charandramrita 5. The practice of yoga is undoubtedly good because it controls the senses, which are like venomous snakes. When one engages in devotional service, however, completely employing all the activities of the senses in the service of the Lord, the venomous quality of the senses is completely nullified. It is explained that a serpent is to be feared because of its poison fangs. But if those fangs are broken, the serpent, although it seems fearsome, is not at all dangerous. Devotees, therefore, may see hundreds and thousands of beautiful women with fascinating bodily movements and gestures, but not be allured. Whereas such women would make ordinary yogis fall. Even the advanced yogi Vishvamitra broke his mystic practice to unite with Menaka and beget a child known as Shakuntala. The practice of mystic yoga, therefore, is not sufficiently strong to control the senses. Another example is Prince Agnidra, whose attention was drawn to the movements of Purvachiti, the Apsara, simply because he heard the tinkling of her ankle bells. In the same way that Vishvamitra Muni was attracted by the tinkling bangles of Menaka, Prince Agnidra, upon hearing the tinkling bangles of Purvachiti, immediately opened his eyes to see her beautiful movements as she walked. The prince was also very handsome. As described herein, his eyes were just like the buds of lotus flowers. As he opened his lotus-like eyes, he could immediately see that the Apsara was present by his side.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Wow, what a purport. I wanted to put a little comment on the end of the chapter, the text. Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he addresses this question that if Maharaj Priyavrata was a pure devotee, liberated soul, such an advanced personality, why is his son so engaged in lust? Why is his son so lusty? And he actually says that Maharaj Priyavrata, during his householder years, or when he was begetting children, he was actually in a lusty consciousness. And so even though he was a great devotee, just because of that time during conception, he wasn't in proper consciousness. His son is also not in the proper consciousness. Yeah. I like this purport a lot. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada first talks about the yogis and falling asleep and keeping their eyes half open. The theme of this purport, though, is talking about how sense control can only really be achieved by bhakti. We see often in the material world that there are great personalities who are doing great things, and Paramahansa this and kind of practicing in this impersonal way. And so, also, great philanthropists are great. They haven't eaten for so many days, or they did this austerity, or they did that austerity. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about how the modes of nature are always competing. So it may seem that someone is at this very high platform, but always something lower will try to grab them, try to bring them down. And so we were seeing with Prince Agnidra and also the other Muni, what was his name? Do you guys remember his name? Vishvamitra Muni. Wow, very good. 10 points for Vaishnav. That just by practicing yoga, we can't control our senses. We actually need bhakti to control our senses. And when we practice bhakti, we gain such a higher taste that these things will affect us less and less and less and less as we go. Srila Prabhupada, there's many stories of Srila Prabhupada, but one time the devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, everyone loves you. Like, he just gave a great talk or something, and he says, because I am free from sex desire. And Srila Prabhupada, that gave him so much power. That practice of bhakti, he said, I could be in a room full of beautiful women and I wouldn't be disturbed. But you wouldn't catch me in that room. I wouldn't be in that room, but if I was, I wouldn't be disturbed. So we should also think in a similar way that we should not endanger ourselves, not put ourselves at risk. I know some book distributor brahmacharis, they told me a story of how one time they were like, oh, I'm so fired up, I'm so ready, and so they're distributing at a festival, and this woman had no clothes on, but they were like, I'm sharing Krishna consciousness, Krishna will protect me. And yes, she took a book, but then he related how he was disturbed the whole day afterwards. So we shouldn't think ourselves to be on a very high platform that we can be exposed to things which are bad for our Krishna consciousness, and you know, yeah. Also, we should. It's not so black and white, because preaching is always the higher principle, and to a sense, to a certain point, he's right in that when we try to preach, Lord Chaitanya will protect us, and when we try to practice Krishna consciousness, we will gain power and strength that we previously were not capable of having. Like the devotees, when they first got sent to London, they're new. It's 3 new Grahastha couples, and just because they were following the orders of their spiritual master and they were dedicated, they got this power to, preach so well, even with such limited association. So, yeah, it's not so black and white. Yeah, I'm thinking if there's anything else to talk about. Unless, we can just break into discussion now for this whole chapter. Anything we thought was interesting or appreciated, or basically the theme we're seeing is that Agnidra gets bewildered and loses all sense, and he ends up going to the heavenly planets. So,
I have a question. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport speaks about the breaking of the serpent's teeth, so it's no longer dangerous. I was wondering if you might be able to enlighten us on how we can break our teeth of our serpent-like senses.
Yeah, let's read what Srila Prabhupada said. This is actually in the Nectar of Devotion too. It gives this analogy. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, for example, we hear in the Nectar of Devotion that because Krishna's forms, qualities, pastimes are all on the absolute platform, material senses cannot appreciate them. When a conditioned soul awakens to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue, so this devotee is using his tongue to chant the Lord's names and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, and so his tongue is purified, and he understands who Krishna really is. So we also, in contradiction, we hear Sharira Vijaja Jyotinjaya Tahekal Jive Pale Vishaya Sagore. So this tongue can be compared to a venomous serpent with fangs, and it can bite us and kill us. And it says that the tongue is the most voracious, it's the most verily wicked, and it can throw us into the ocean of birth and death. But if we chant using our tongue, and if we take prasadam, this is how we purify the tongue, and we break the fangs off of that serpent. And we get a higher taste, and it can no longer drag us down, it can no longer affect us. What do you think?
I think that's an amazing point that we first start with the tongue, right? It's voracious. And I was also thinking too, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, by always engaging in devotional service, we keep all sinful activities away. And so we really just got to strain ourselves to think about how we can engage, and find those things that are really encouraging to us. Because we like to do those things that are encouraging to us. It seems to me like in my life that time that I have nothing scheduled or nothing to do is when I fall into scrolling doom scrolling or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if I have something engaged, some kind of activity like a program or something like that, then it's easy. It's fun. Distributing books is so fun, but if we don't schedule it, we just end up doing something different that like bites us right in the, you know.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing up that the tongue is like the very beginning of this, right? The very thing that we should be thinking about engaging nicely, chanting and eating prasadam.
Yeah, you brought up such
Thank
a
you.
nice point. The idle mind is the devil's workshop. So also a point being emphasized that we don't focus on, okay, how am I gonna not look at her? Or how am I gonna like, but we actually just fill up our time so much that we don't even have time. We don't, like Haridas Thakur, he says, I'll get to you when I finish my rounds. And so if we're in this consciousness that you're never done with your rounds, Prabhupada said, if you have time, chant Hare Krishna. So really, we don't have time for Maya. We never have time to indulge in Maya because we can always chant Hare Krishna.
Really, I gotta say that I've never thought of it like that. I mean, I've thought of it, but like, Haridas is just like, I just gotta do my service. I just gotta do, and like, it's a really good point. I don't know how you said it in a way that my perspective just like totally changed, and my paradigm changed in that, looking at that. Wow, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. Any other points?
Just to add to that, one time somebody asked Prabhupada, is like, Prabhupada, do you experience lust? Do you have lust? And we would all expect that he would just flat out say no. And he said yes. And they were all like shocked. And then he said, but I don't have any time for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing.
Yeah. I'm remembering something that I was going to talk about earlier. But we see a similar story with Ajamil. And Ajamil, he's actually a very nice devotee, and he's practicing so well, and he's lived a pure life. And just one day he's picking flowers. Earlier in this chapter, Agnidra Maharaj was also picking flowers. Maybe picking flowers is the problem. No, but Ajamil, he sees a Shudra and a Shudrani embracing in the woods. And he got so disturbed, he couldn't stop thinking about it, and he couldn't get over it. And so you might ask, why is it affecting him so much? He's a devotee. He's, he's been practicing since birth. He's born in a Brahmana family. So, one, he didn't have association at that point. It was just him there. Same thing with Agnidra Maharaj. So really, without association, we can be so susceptible to these material allurements. If we keep ourselves surrounded, it keeps us out of trouble and keeps us in good consciousness. And then also, I'll have to recheck on this, but I believe it's because Ajamil wasn't chanting. He wasn't. I believe it's more of like a karma kanda type process. He didn't have that kind of strength that bhakti will give you, and that specifically chanting Hare Krishna will give you, to see these allurements, see these things, and to not be disturbed. Because we need it. I remember, the New York brahmacharis, they talk a lot about how, like, you have to have really good sadhana to make it in New York, because, you just open the door and there's, like, everything out there. There's things, like, so much worse than what Jamil saw, and so, yeah, you have to be in good association and with good sadhana if we want to overcome these things. Tulsi Sakimachi?
And then Brahma sensed that he wanted to go to Pitraloka and send Purvachiti. And then towards the end, she was meditating on Brahma. And then they... So my question is Pitraloka the same as Brahmaloka, or Brahma has control over Pitraloka over as well, or because it seems like they're interchangeable? Or
Yeah, I can't give a definite answer, but I know Pitraloka and Satyaloka are two different planets, and it says earlier that Brahma, he selects the best of the dancing girls. I'm not sure where she was from.
But it said that she was meditating on Brahma, like, when she...
Yeah, I'm not sure if that means she was on Brahma's planet. Yeah, I'm not sure if there are even apsaras on Brahma's planet. I'm not sure because, yeah, they're all pure devotees in Brahma Loka, I've heard. So I can't really give a definite answer. But it appears that, yeah, they're both in... I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyone else have any thoughts on that or on this topic? Pitraloka is a heavenly planet. All right. Any other thoughts? Anything you took away, Colton Prue? All right. Well, if that's all, then let us all strengthen each other and engage in Krishna consciousness so that, when we see the things of this world, we can just keep our eye on the prize, keep our eye on Krishna, keep our eye on the goal. And that way, Krishna is so beautiful to look at. I mean, if that Apsara stood next to Krishna, who cares? It's described how to the heavenly beings, when they see the most beautiful person on earth, they look like a toad. They're so ugly. And we are really ugly if we think about it. We're so many gross things about our body and pus and my eyes are oozing and I smell bad and when I wake up. Anyways, so many bad things to like out of the spot, but we convince ourselves that, I'm so attractive. Oh, they're so attractive. And so the demigods, they look at us and they're like, ew. Yeah. But even in the spiritual world, they look at the demigods and they're like, whoa. I would not want to go to the material world because already everything is so beautiful in the spiritual world, and Radha and Krishna are the topmost, they're the goal. And so in comparison to Krishna, Radha and Krishna, none of these material pleasures hold a candle, you could say. So yeah, let us focus on Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ranchakalpa Trivescha Kripa Sindhu